Hi there. We recently visited Santorini on the cruise ship Enchanted Princess. If you'd like to know more about our visit to Santorini, then watch this video. Hi there. I'm Mama Jane's husband, and this is
Mama Jane.
And we recently visited Santorini on the Enchanted Princess, and we had a good visit, didn't we, Mama Jane?
We did. What you've got to bear in mind, Santorini, for those thinking, well, where's Santorini? It's that beautiful place where there's all the white buildings with the blue domes. Very, well-known picture postcard. And indeed, it is a beautiful place. Now, when we went, there was our ship, which has got just under 4,000 people on it, and there was a Viking ship, and I don't know how many they've got, but it's not a lot. It's not a huge ship, not many. So that needs to be borne in mind that this is early season and not many people. It's a very small place, as you'll see from the videos. The streets are very narrow. Now, what can happen if you go in summer? Not only is it blazing hot, but there can be up to seven big ships. That is quite a scary thought. Where on earth well, I'll tell you where they all go. They're crammed in the streets, you can't move. So
it's also worth pointing out that no ship docks at Santorini.
Oh yes, you don't dock, you're tendered in. Now luckily on this ship, often the tender boats are the lifeboats off the main ship. Not in this case, the proper boats that come out and tender you in. So it's it's a much easier way of doing it. But that's how it is. Now, when you land, you don't land where the lovely white buildings with the blue domes are. Where do we land?
Fira.
We land in Fira, and the domes...
F-I-R-A.
F-I-R-A. The buildings with the blue domes are in...
Oya.
Oya. Now, because it's a fairly quiet time, you can get a bus, a coach trip, whatever, up to Oya. When it's all these cruise ships in, that is going to take you all day, and you won't have all day. But there are lots of boats that will take you, boat trips around the coast up to Oya. So it's worth bearing that in mind, that think very carefully about doing a bus trip, coach trip.
It's going to take an hour there and an hour back.
Yeah, and I don't know how long your cruise will be there for. Yeah. They do vary. So that's worth...
Or whether you want to spend 2 hours sat on a bus.
Well, there is that in the Scottish heat.
Yeah.
I would presume they're air conditioned, but don't presume.
No, not in Greece.
Not always. So, what else can we say, dear?
So, well, we had the most wonderful sailing into Santorini, into the bay. The Santorini is formed from a volcano, and the crater of the volcano sits in the bay, and it's just this. It's like a half moon shape, the island of Santorini, and with this blissful arrival at sunrise. It was just a gorgeous moment, and I'll put some video in of us arriving. And I have to say that the journey across the water on the water taxi or tender, whatever you want to call it, was also quite lovely. And the sun was up by then, and in fact it was blazing in the sky. And you can see us going from ship to shore, so you can see what it is like. And when you arrive, the coaches are there ready for you. Now, like Mama Jane said, there was us in, and Viking were in, and that was it. Goodness knows where they're going to put all the coaches if you've got 7 ships anchored offshore. I just don't know how they do it. There must be some sort of time schedule for arrival, so it all works. And then you could, if you're not on a tour, there is one of those things that go up a mountain. What are they called?
Cable car.
Cable car, that's it. You go up a cable car if you want to, or you can walk up, and the walk up is notorious. This zigzagging path that goes up.
Not for the faint-hearted.
No, it's not for the faint-hearted. It's 900 steps apparently, and you can have a donkey ride as well to do it, and apparently the donkeys are well looked after.
Really?
Yeah, and I saw some of the donkeys and they look pretty happy donkeys to me.
Walking up 900 steps.
Yeah, no, they seem
anyway,
to.
that's a different issue.
And when you get to Fira, it's all right. I think it's this picture postcard place with shops and restaurants that are designed to extract money from tourists. So if that's your thing, then it is. And there's picture places to go. Now the central square in Fira has got a lovely church there. It's an Orthodox church, and I actually found that really quite a peaceful place. There's a hotel there, and there's some immediate views out. If you're coming by coach or some tour or car, the car park is outside of Fira, and it's quite a hike up, so just got to be wary of this. If you've got mobility issues, you need to research Santorini exceptionally well, okay? Because I saw quite a few people who were struggling because they got mobility issues. I'm not the most able. I managed it, but you really must research Santorini very well if you've got mobility issues. Don't rely on other people's advice. Work it out for yourselves, okay? And then, yeah, you can meander through all the streets, and it's busy. Even on a quiet cruise day, it is quite busy. And then you can go, the cable car where that comes in is separate from the main square. I only had an hour, we only had an hour in Fira, so I didn't get around a huge amount, but enough to get a meter of the place. If I had more time, and if I do go back, I'd probably have a rip-off meal in one of the restaurants just to have the view
for the experience.
For the experience, and then Oya itself, the domes are the domes, aren't they?
The domes are the domes, and yes, it's worth going to see the domes and have your picture taken with the domes in the background. It's lovely, but as I say, I'm not making a very good sales pitch for Santorini, am I? No, because I don't really know what to say. It was so busy, and as I said, there were very few people there.
You came up with a good name for it, didn't you? What was it? It was like a film set, is that what
it's like a film set. You imagine somewhere that's been built, and it hasn't been built for a film set, but as if it's not a real place, as if it's just there for tourists. And indeed that is. There's no
tourists is the number one industry.
That's the number one industry, so that is what it's
wine and tourism, that's what it's about.
So as I say, I don't want to sound harsh, and I don't want to sound like I'm saying, oh, don't bother going there. I don't mean that. I just mean be aware. You're not going to be able to wander around gazing at all these beautiful things. You're going to be looking where you're going, and on the steps and everything, and making sure you stay safe, because it's packed.
And you'll see I managed to get some of the iconic photos and selfies with the blue domes, but there's huge pressure, even with just two cruise ships in and some regular tourists, a huge pressure on Oya in terms of space and access, and it wasn't helped that the most fought after place had a camera crew in and there was 3 sets of cameras there, and they weren't allowing you into certain areas, so that didn't help. But so we got about an hour to look around, and I did the best job, and it is what it is. And again, there's restaurants and there's shops designed to extract money from tourists.
Because it is their.
Because that's what
they do. That's how they live.
That's how they live.
Yeah.
And you can have these iconic photos there, and that's it really. Again, it is what it is. And then we also visited a couple of other places in Santorini on a shore excursion. We went to one of the black beaches called Kamari, I think it is. Well, I thought this was a bit underwhelming, to be honest. It was a black beach with black sand, and nothing unique about that. I've been to other black beaches.
If you've never been to a black beach before, you'll be surprised and amazed. But if you've been to one,
you've been to one, and you'll hurt your feet. You'll hurt your feet because it's quite coarse sand, and if you get it between your toenails, you're getting it out from your toenails all day as well. So yeah, it's beautiful, but impractical. So that's my
It's
view.
a black beach.
And then we went to this archaeological site called Akrotiri, and it is branded as the Greek Pompei. It's quite a bit older than Pompei, with the same thing. Volcanic explosion covers a town in ash and preserves it. Only it happened 1,300 years, almost 1,400 years before Pompei happened. So it happened.
It's old.
So it's old. It happened in about, I think it happened in 1362 BC, or it might something like that, or it might have been 1632 BC, something like that.
A long time.
A long time ago. So, and it was left deserted and unexcavated until discovered in, like most things were discovered archaeologically in Victorian times. And this is a huge site. They've revealed how big it is with these satellite images from space, and it's a massive city. Some have said that it might actually be Atlantis, because quite a lot of it is under the sea and remains unexcavated, and so only a very small proportion has been excavated. However, it's no Pompeii. You can't walk between the streets, and it's enclosed. It's been covered. UNESCO paid for this very expensive roof to keep it covered, and the plan was to have people being able to walk around it, because these walkways have been built around it so that you can walk around while the work was going on. Well, unfortunately, COVID stopped the work, and the Greek government have decided not to restart it, and in fact might be closing this place, which
That's
is
a shame.
It is a bit.
That is a shame, because even if you've seen Pompeii, you can't compare, because it's not Pompeii. It's a different place altogether, and so that would be a shame if.
Would be.
Yeah.
But the other thing that
old.
they've done is most of the frescoes and things, all you can see is pictures of them, because they've taken them off to the laboratory for study. So again, there's no living museum like you can at Pompeii. The Greeks have decided that they need to have them in the laboratory for further work, which is also shut. So it's an interesting place to visit, but if you don't get there, I won't worry about it.
We're not doing very well at selling Santorini.
No, we're not really. To be perfectly honest, I think the Greeks, in in calling Akrotiri the Greek Pompei, are trying to make what's the saying?
A silk purse out of a Sousier.
Yeah.
If you're not English, that won't make any sense whatsoever.
No, but so we're not making a good job of selling Santorini, are we? Actually,
I think one of the problems is we are on a cruise, and we went to Santorini for the day, or even less than a day. So I think perhaps the best way to see Santorini is not on a cruise. What do you think? Is to go to Santorini.
Yeah. Try and pick some days when you're on Santorini when there's no cruise ships in.
Yeah, because you can see when cruise ships are going to be in. So, you know, if you are island hopping, or whatever it's called these days,
try and hop there when
hop
there's
there
no
when
cruise
there's no
ships.
cruise ships. Or at least if there is cruise ships, you can do your own thing at your own speed. You're not under any pressure to get anywhere at a certain time. I think that's the truth, because it is pretty. It's beautiful.
It's pretty, beautiful.
Oh, it's pretty.
Postcard beautiful.
It is.
But it's a film set.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing to say.
Yeah.
So coming back on this cruise excursion, we had to get back from Fira to the cruise ships ourselves. We were dropped off in Fira, so I queued for the best part of 2 hours in total to get back to the cruise ship. We had to queue for 45 minutes for the cable car to get down, and the cable car, I have to say, complete non-event. The most boring cable car I've ever been on in my life. Then when you get down the bottom, downstairs, so to speak, we had to queue again to get on the water shuttle. And then when we got on the ship, we had to queue again to get through security. So put it this way, when I got back on the cruise ship, I needed 2 bottles of Stella before I did anything else, just to soften the blows, soften the queues.
Yeah.
So
and as we said, you know, okay, the ship would not be would make no difference however many people were in port.
Yeah.
But the other 2 things, you know, the cable car, and goodness, how many people did that guide say could be in? 15,000.
So last summer they had 17,000 people in on cruise ships one day, and there's only 15,000 people living on the island. Do the calculations. Do the maths yourself.
Do the math.
Do the maths.
No, sit at the end. Do the math.
Oh, that's American. Yeah. If you're English, do the maths.
If you're
American, do the math. Yeah. So yeah, would I go back to Santorini? Yeah, I would go back to Santorini.
But not on a cruise.
I might go back on a cruise
Would you?
because I did see some excursions in Santorini that the cruise ship weren't doing that took you to the volcanic crater. And you could have a swim in the hot springs there, and that sort of thing appeals to me, to my senses. So Santorini,
make of it what you will.
Beautiful place, which has outgrown itself.
Yes,
is what I would say.
Yeah.
If you go in, either don't go on a cruise ship, avoid the times when the cruise ships are in, and
go out of season like we are.
Go out of season like we are. So, for now, it's a goodbye from
me,
and it's a goodbye from
him.
Goodbye.